You know, I grew up on a farm. I grew up on a farm with chickens, with pigs, with cows, and we even had a few goats from time to time. And I learned a lot from being on the farm. But I really didn't pay a whole lot of attention to all the lessons that I really learned. So what about that question? How many of each animal did Noah take into the ark? You know, in Genesis chapter 7, verse 2, it says, "You shall take with you 7 each of every clean animal, a male and his female, 2 of animals that are unclean, male and his female." How did Noah know the difference between what was clean and what was unclean? Leviticus hadn't been written yet, but in Leviticus chapter 11, verse 3 through 7, it says, "Among the animals, whatsoever divides a hoof, having cloven hooves and chewing the cud, that you may eat. Nevertheless, you shall not eat among those that chew the cud or that have cloven hooves. The camel, because it chews the cud but does not have cloven hooves, is unclean to you. The rock, the hyax, because it chews the cud but does not have cloven hooves, it is unclean to you. The hare, because it chews the cud but it does not have cloven hooves, it is unclean to you." What about the hare? It is a bunny. But there's more. Do you want to see it? That's the question. And if you're not sure, well, the swine. It divides the hoof. It has cloven hooves, but it is unclean to you because it does not chew the cud. You know, after a heart attack, it's very clear what the doctor tells you, and he tells you to avoid certain things in your life. And it might be good sense to avoid the swine so that you don't have problems in the first place. So what killed the great composer Mozart by age 35? And it took years to figure it out, but just a few years ago, an amazing story showed up in the Journal of the American Medical Association, and they figured it out. There was something to do with his lunch, something that wasn't quite actually discovered for another 50 plus years. In 1846, a scientist by the name of Joseph Leidy found something in his lunch that, well, he didn't like at all. Tiny little worms. It was trichinosis. It was a parasite that's found in the flesh of pigs and bears. ABC News actually reported on this on June 11, 2001, and reported all the things that you needed to understand. A lot of human suffering has happened because of that. One of the most graphic articles I've ever seen on trichinosis is from the Reader's Digest all the way back. Reader's Digest, a single serving of infected pork, even a single mouthful, can kill, cripple, or condemn the victim to a lifetime of aches and pains. For this unique disease, trichinosis, there is no cure. With no drug to stop them, the worms may spread through the muscular tissue in the entire human system. Physicians can confuse trichinosis with some 50 different ailments, ranging from typhoid fever all the way to acute alcoholism. The pain that's in your arm or your leg are arthritis, rheumatism, or it could be trichinosis. Feel a little pain in your joints right now? You might want to stop and think about it. But a few years back, an Illinois Health Messenger gave a very unsettling report on what they discovered in the human autopsies. 1/6 of us have live trichina. 1/5 of the pork products had live worms. So you will eat roughly about 200 infested meals in your life. So what exactly killed Mozart? His diary says that he died after his wife made him pork chops. At the time of his death, that was about the same time it takes for a bad case of trichinosis to incubate and then kill you. God says don't eat this stuff. So what about fish? Here's what the Bible says. Leviticus 11, verse 9. "These you may eat of all that are in the water. Whatever is in the water that has fins and scales, whether it's in the seas or in the rivers, you may eat." So the rule for fish are really simple. A clean fish has fins and scales. That includes things like salmon, halibut, cod, tuna. They all have scales. But catfish? Well, catfish is absolutely unclean. It doesn't have scales. In Leviticus chapter 11, verse 12, it says, "Whatever is in the water does not have fins or scales, that shall be an abomination to you." So what would that include? Well, shellfish. What about clams, oysters, shrimp, lobsters, crabs? That one's going to hurt a lot if you live in Maryland. And again, it's the scavengers, the animals who clean up the sea. And we know that when a dead body sinks to the bottom of the ocean, the first animals to show up are the lobsters, the crabs, and the shrimp. And the other sea creatures, well, they don't really have fins and scales. They'll show up too. Why? Because they're the garbage cleanup crew. They clean up the sewage, they clean up the rot, they clean up the filth in the bottom of the ocean. And God says, if I were you, I would stay clear of that. So we know it's got to have split hooves, chew the cud, and it's got to have fins and scales. And what about birds? Leviticus covers that too in Leviticus chapter 11, 13 through 20. And these are they which shall have an abomination among the fowls, they that have not eaten flesh, those that are abomination, the eagle, the ostrich, the osprey, the vulture, the kite after its kind, every raven in its kind, the owl, the hawk after its kind, the little owl, the cormorant, the great owl, the swan, the pelican, the eagle, the stork, all after their kind. All fowls creep going upon all fours. They're an abomination to you. So God makes it very clear. The real question is, are we going to heed the advice? And remember, we have a choice. Ultimately, that choice will lead us to have a relationship with Christ, or we're going to walk on our own. See, Jesus waits for you at the door. He waits for your decision. And the question is, are you willing to open the door to your heart and let Jesus come in, change your life, and live longer?